Hey guys, it's Jason and Chris from Hard Money Bankers. You can always find us at hardmoneybankers.com. Back at you with another HMB show. Today we have a very interactive show with Josh Davidson from Dawg.
We have a great time with Josh talking about entrepreneurship, tech, the future of things, VR, mobile technology, wearables, all kinds of cool stuff. So check it out. Josh, hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
For sure, yeah. Thanks for taking the time. First things first, let's rewind to the beginning a little bit, if we could. Tell everyone a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up, how you got into business, the whole backstory.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. So I actually became an entrepreneur fairly young for most individuals probably listening to this or anyone that considers themselves an entrepreneur. The company I run now, which I founded almost 7 years ago, I was 16 actually when I started it. So, and I grew up right in the Jersey Shore, not necessarily where the show was originally from, but close to Atlantic City. So if you guys are familiar with like geography, where Atlantic City is based out.
We were in AC a couple months ago.
So there you guys know exactly. I grew up right on the outskirts. Like my parents worked in Atlantic City, grew up in the entire environment, the casino, entertainment industry. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why I think I got really heavily into entrepreneurship is I grew up in an environment where my dad was a manager at a major casino, always was delegating, working with people. I grew up in that environment. I think I grew up in one of the most amazing factors of just being raised where my parents would let me experiment, do things on my own, and learn from my own mistakes and be my own identity, which helped. And then, of course, I grew up, in my opinion, probably the golden era of the web, right? So this is like the era from AOL to about Yahoo GeoCities, if you're going like, if I'm dating stuff.
Right.
Like, this is the Wild West era of like technology and internet. So I consider myself really, really blessed for two reasons. One, I was old enough to appreciate that Wild West era that really shaped the .com bubble, created the beginning of the technology revolution as we know it. But I was also probably the first generation to fully be on board with technology versus the generation right before me that saw the disconnect where they can remember the time before computers, after. Pretty much I grew up in an environment I've always been surrounded from like Windows 95 up my entire life, but I was still old enough to appreciate that Wild West era. So the mix of like my upbringing and being able to experiment, having a computer at such a young age, falling in love with the idea of like making something, like telling the computer to do something is just the most holy shit, amazing feeling in the world. Even today, now it's more like mobile, wearable stuff like that, but you still get that same feeling. And also being a part of that like Wild West era of being able to just create anything, put it up there, almost like all hands on deck era, right? There's like almost no consequences to your action, which is both positive and negative. Like, I was playing around with AOL, which is obviously a negative consequence. If you guys remember that, right? And then
dial up
at the same, no, exactly, right? And used to be able to steal people's credit cards if you wanted to off of there, shut down their AOL accounts. That thing is it was terrible. So, but also because of where I grew up, when the recession hit in like 2007 to 2009, 10 era, it really impacted the area I grew up in because it's based around the casino industry, which, as I'm sure you guys know, is based around disposable income. And what's the first thing to happen usually in a recession? Most people lose that disposable income, and casinos shut down, people got laid off, jobs kind of like, really shrunk. And what a traditional 14, 15, 16-year-old job that I would have as an opportunity did not exist, right? Because people who are way overqualified needed a job opportunity just to basically keep a house over their heads, or a roof over their heads, be able to feed their children, have a livelihood, period. So it left individuals like myself a little bit more stranded. And I always grew up with that entrepreneurial tendencies. I'm building my own stuff. I was building my own websites when I was 12, 13 years old. I actually sold a website at 14 years old. I had my parents sign a contract at the time because I was not legally able to sign contracts then.
For your first exit.
Yeah, exactly. That's the truth. I mean, it really was. It wasn't a business, but I still sold it. I had thousands of users. I had like volunteers and staff back in the day there. So I believe 100%. Gary Vaynerchuk says this quite often, that entrepreneurship is a talent. Just like if you're really good at basketball, you can practice all you want. There's those who are just naturally gifted. I think the same thing with entrepreneurship, where you're born to be an entrepreneur. And I'm sure you guys, especially on this podcast, can recognize those who are truly authentic entrepreneurs versus who's a entrepreneur. And especially in my industry, where we help people turn their great ideas to reality. and we talk to 400 or 500 people a year that are inspiring to become an entrepreneur, you can easily identify the trends. What is a true authentic individual that has entrepreneurial tendencies? Who's a true entrepreneur? And who's a entrepreneur who saw the movie The Social Network, wants to emulate that lifestyle, and once the going gets tough, they're going to be like stranded there because this is not the lifestyle meant for them.
Yeah.
And I grew up in those environments and those criteria, and kind of what led me to starting Chop Dog at 16 was a bunch of those factors and my passion for building companies. So if you're going back to like that exit, you can call it, I realized at a very, very early age, and I'm really blessed about this, is like, I fucking love building companies and building products. Like, there's nothing cooler to me than that early stage of building a brand, that market validation, building something that people want to use. And I also, and I'm biased by this, but I believe I have the track record now to kind of back it up. I'm really, really, really gifted at understanding what the market wants, what the user wants, and building a product that delivers around that. And one of the reasons why we get so many clients, things like that, is because we tell it as it is, and we work with them to build products that can be scalable, that can be monetized, that people would want to use. Because anybody can build something, but not anyone can build a company, right? That can build a product that's going to not only do what it needs to do, but people would want to use it, would want to pay for it. You can scale. And that's always been both, I think, a passion of mine and a talent of mine, and a skill set that I'm always trying to improve upon and staying relevant. And it doesn't matter if we're dealing with physical hardware, dealing with software, wearable, VR possibly in the future, car operating systems. We're at a very, very fortunate time where you can build a product on almost anything. So kind of like the full loaded story, but to give you a full scope of everything.
Yeah, got it. I think we have very similar views. Chris and I are also huge followers of Gary Vee, and
For sure.
respect and understand a lot of things that come out of his mouth. And, although our core business of, real estate investing that we're in, obviously is a little bit different. That's just the niche. The business in general is the big picture thing. Our operation is we lend money to real estate investors that flip properties, and being in this space and, marketing nonstop to try to weed out what we call the hobbyists. It's kind of a nice term of biz op buyers in the internet marketing space, but we call them real estate investing hobbyists, which is 90 to 95% of them. We certainly see that because, we're marketing and getting, thousands and thousands of loan applications or leads on a monthly basis to wean them down to the real deal guys that are actually doing business. So we can certainly relate to that. So tell us a little bit about Chop Dog, and then why you kind of decided to create that as, your first real business that you're looking to grow and scale.
Yeah, it's probably the answers, both your questions have the same answer. So a little bit about what we do and how it came about is, we pretty much, on the surface, when you look at our company, we're approached as a development firm. But we're honestly, the true answers are anything but. A development firm helps build someone's idea, an app, a product from A to B, and that's it. What we focus on is primarily non-technical entrepreneurs and companies with great technical ideas that help bring their ideas to life. So if you really want a more deeper layer, we're almost as if your favorite incubator had a baby with a development firm and we popped out. That's pretty much the straight answer of what we do. So we actually call ourselves a startup catapult, and the reason for this is we take people's ideas and catapult it to the marketplace. And by the way, I apologize, I live in the city, so if you hear the sirens stuff, that's the great city of Brighton.
You're in Philly, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we have an office in Fort Washington, so I'm familiar.
So I don't know if you care. I'm pretty sure it's right out. Yeah, there's like an ambulance going by right now. Fort Washington's awesome. I'm actually right in Northern Liberties, if you guys know where that is.
Yep, sure.
So right near the waterfront, old city.
Yeah, know the area well. Cool.
But going back to it real quick is we realized for every technical individual with a great technical idea, every technical company with a great technical idea, there's 10 non-technical individuals, companies with a great idea. And we realized, holy crap, there's really no solutions to this. And I think part of what you build a great business on is solving a problem that people either aren't solving or doing a shitty job on. And we believe it was a mix of both. And we realized if you're non-technical, great technical idea, you have two options to go about it. You can go to a dev shop in the United States, right? But the issue here is most are going to charge you a second mortgage. And let's be real. If I asked a room of 50 people who's willing to spend a second mortgage to build an idea.
There you go. Can you read that? Non-tech founder?
There you go. Non-tech founder. There you go. I love that.
That was applicable.
So that's perfect. So I got to give one to all my clients. So pretty much what happens is we realize no one can afford a second mortgage. So no one's going to go to a quality dev shop. And then if there's no dev shop in the United States that's really can afford them, they're going to go overseas, right? To Pakistan, China, Uganda.
Yep.
And I don't probably have to explain the M. Night Shyamalan places to go Philly jokes here of what happens when you go overseas, right? You're probably going to get scammed, pennies on the dollar, stuff like that. So what happens now is there another shirt? Oh, I thought I'd rather pull up another shirt.
No, we have another shirt.
We could have started the show like that.
The Gary V shirt. Let's get into the show.
This is a lot of swag going on.
We have all the shit. They're not even our stuff we're plugging. We're plugging other people's stuff. Anyway, sorry to keep interrupting you with our t-shirt.
Yeah, no worries. It's awesome. So we realized pretty much is, all right, most people can't afford a second mortgage to work with a dev shop in the United States. And if they could, they're not focusing on building a company, building something scalable, right? They're just focusing on taking them from A to B and that's it. And people were going over to Uganda, Ukraine, Pakistan, China, Japan. They're getting pennies on the dollars worth of quality. They're not focusing on companies. And people from a mile away can identify bullshit, especially the bullshit that comes out of those. And we said to ourselves, why can't you take an incubator model and apply it to a development firm model? So what we will do is we work with people with great ideas, companies with great ideas, and help them build and bring their products to market. But what's different about it is we're not just A to B. We're actually providing the expertise, the consultation, the connections, and we're providing all the facets from the design of the product, user experience, the brand, the marketing strategy, maturing the product, coming up with an MVP, how to validate, figuring out market traction, bringing the idea to life, coming up with the other variables. How are you going to raise money? How are you going to attract a Series A, a Series B, Series C, an angel round, a VC firm? How are you going to get on the media? How are you going to get on TechCrunch, NextWeb, VentureBeat? How are you going to get plugged on Gary Vee's show, right? How are you going to get on his radar, right? Like figuring out how do you build companies and actually bring them to market and people want to use them.
Sure.
And we've now done this since August of 2009. We've launched a little over 160 companies to date. We've had a lot of success stories. I mean, if you look up, we've had companies and incubators, accelerators, been acquired, raised millions of dollars, have relocated from San Francisco to New York to Boston. We literally just 2 weeks ago, as we're recording this podcast, launched a client in Bangkok, Thailand. So, we're all over the map. And it's amazing. And we get to work from the most inspiring entrepreneurs, the serial entrepreneurs, to serial businesses, to VC firms, the lawyers, to any market you can think of. And, the reason why we got into this is we identified a problem that we truly did believe we can solve them better than anybody else. And we still believe that. We believe with what we're doing, nobody compares to what we're doing. And then the second thing was, it was something I was just always passionate about. Going back to, I knew my love was growing and building companies and products. And this was my dream come true. How I get to do this every single day. And at the same time, it all comes back to growing and building my company and the brand we're trying to do here. So that's how our company came to be and what we do. And then on a more social mission drive, we put out a lot of content and we try to be a resource to inspire entrepreneurs to become entrepreneurs. And at the same point in time, what we want to do with them as well is a resource for entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, active companies and starts to get tips and suggestions on how to scale, how to grow. And eventually we want to keep moving forward. Our ambition is always, we're a service-based company, but we want to grow that to eventually keep producing more and more great content out there from our podcast, from our blog, from our social media, eventually do conferences, open up a VC side to start investing more into companies that we're working with, sure. Companies that have their shit together, right? But just need the financial resources, need the connections. We really, really have ambitions because, again, going back to the Wild West era, I believe we're in the modern gold rush. This is our equivalent of the gold rush in the 1800s or when steam power became the big. And I believe there can be a company out there to help facilitate the transition of the greatest companies and products in the digital sphere. And that's why we don't necessarily call ourselves maybe a development firm or a mobile shop or anything like that, because we don't want to be limited by an operating system either. Like, Windows 95 firms don't exist anymore. Software is almost like a relevant term in this day and age, right? Mobile app development one day might not exist with VR, operating systems in cars, stuff like that. So we believe in just being a technology development company that focuses on every ecosystem out there, whether it's wearable, mobile, web, software, operating system, Internet of Things, whatever that might be.
Sure.
Yeah, very interesting. And it's just like you said, doing that description, that it's very much part tech, part incubator, advisor along the way, all rolled into one. Pretty cool. And are you, I don't want to get into your personal company business, but are you guys doing equity plays too in some of the companies that you launch?
So that was a really good question. So all the clients we take on are compensation based, but we have taken equity in the past. So what we normally do is one or two things. Let's say you came to us and you had this amazing idea and we loved you as an entrepreneur and you had, let's say, a $60,000 budget. But when we figured out everything you needed, you're looking at $80,000 worth of work, and there's that $20,000 difference, right? There's that right there, and you can't raise it. But we really like you. We like the idea. We like the connections you have, and we think with the right execution, this is going to be big. We'll offset the difference of equity, and that's one way we take an equity in the past for like difference in budgets and that nature. And sometimes then we'll help people raise money too after we launch them, and then we'll take a piece of the pie since we're helping them raise money as well.
Right.
So it depends on the situation. We haven't just taken equity point blank, excuse me. Now, eventually, I do see us getting to that point. I really do. And as well, investing point blank in just companies that have their stuff needed. They just need more the connections, expertise, and the resources that we have in our infrastructure. And we're going to get there too. But that's kind of gives you that full overview roadmap of what it all looks like.
Do you feel like a lot of the guys you're working with, I guess we can call it an agency basis, but are these startup companies or are they companies that already have some sort of infrastructure in place?
So up till 2 years ago, I'll tell you they were all startups. Like either infant stage startups or very early stage startups. Now we're working with companies too. So it's a mix of both. And usually the companies we work for are companies that want that startup mentality. So let's take, I'm a basketball organization, and we want to create a mobile application for when our guests come into the stadium so they can order, they can upgrade their tickets, they can buy concession stands, walk up and get it. They want to completely change the experience of an NBA game, let's say, for their team. Well, they don't want to work with a traditional firm because they don't want to look at it black and white. They want to look at it from the ground up, from a startup mentality, and they're coming to a company like us now because we're going to come with the same approach as if they're starting from scratch, and that's an asset. Yeah, so it allows companies for like with that structure to refocus back to the roots, what you need when you're going to a brand new market for Brown. If we can look at an app like Greenskeeper that we work with, Greenskeeper is the largest social network to the game of golf on the internet. I believe as of right now they have 65,000 active daily users, like incredible. And they have had an app or a web app, for almost 12 years. We came in and helped with their mobile and brought them to mobile that never existed before. So we went to a whole new product niche and helped rebranded them for a new era. So we didn't reinvent the wheel, but we reinvented their strategy and their new product from the ground up for what it is they're trying to do. So it is a mix of both. You could be someone with a brand new idea. You can be a company that's just looking to introduce a brand new product niche, or in circumstance, you can be a professional team, a Fortune 500, just looking to go to a brand new marketplace and want that startup mentality into that infrastructure you already have.
Real cool stuff. Let me ask you a question. On your end, like, what do you believe to be the most highest level thing that you could be working on? Is it the creative side? Is it business infrastructure and systems? Like, what's your highest level activity?
So are you asking as far as me personally or as a company?
No,
as you run the
you
company.
Personally. Like Chris and I both know. I mean, we have in this office we're in now, which is our core business, which is our real estate lending. We have involved with a lot of stuff with different business we're involved in. But like this is our core operation. We got 10 employees, and we each have our highest level activities. Obviously, putting out quality content to our email database.
Yeah, you got it.
Like, what would you say is your highest level thing that you're concentrating on? And
so I think a lot of people are biased because of the amount of content I personally put up there that they think content distribution and brand is. But the reality is being the CEO of my company. I have a team member of 22 people. I have over 160 clients. We're building about 25 companies at a given time. So if you look at my day, let's say I work 16 hours in a day, I'm going to say about 14 or 16 hours are focused on the responsibility of being a CEO, my team being in the best position to succeed, figuring out what we're being weak at, making sure we're growing as a company, making sure we're bringing in new customers, new clients, helping more and more people, providing better value, being more impactful, better customer service, being more efficient. All that aspects is probably the most focus of my day. But here's the thing about it is that's the 80% of my time, but the 20% that I focus the rest is what makes up the 80% of the noise that you see in the marketplace. So the content we put out there, the personal brand, being a part of a podcast like you guys doing our own podcast, that makes the most noise. And that's what a lot of people, I think, when they think of me or they know my personal brand will assume. But the reality is most of my time, most of my day, most of my focus is going into actual operations of my company. And, I believe almost you can break it down that my team sees the real version of me, right? And I'm the dumbest guy in my own company, number one. My team is like insanely intelligent and motivated. They see the real me, the person who'll sit down for 6 hours focused and listening and taking down notes and working on strategies and talking to clients and things like that. And my clients get a real perspective too, because now I'm working with them more intimately. But I think the public perception that sees it only sees like the true content side, the marketing side. Like, because I publicly speak. I'll be attending conferences next week. I'm on your guys after. Just have another interview in a couple hours from now. We're doing a podcast episode on Friday again. We just did one back on Monday. We have a blog post going out Friday. So they see a lot of content. But yeah, I think really the high level, my true focus is that most of my day is that behind the scenes CEO stuff that, is not sexy. But to me it is. But to the average consumer, it's not.
Yeah, we kind of call that stuff transactional stuff versus growth activities, and we try to differentiate the two and different mindset, different everything. 50% of our day is, working on loans or originating new business or going to real estate projects that are under construction. We call this transactional stuff, and that's the day to day. That's where
we all have to do it.
Yeah, that's what we have to do, and that's where the dollars come in tomorrow on, right? The time I put in today, the dollar comes in tomorrow, and then you have the growth stuff. Shows, writing a book that we published a few months ago, speaking at conferences, networking at events, all that stuff, being involved in mastermind groups. That's like what we call the 50% growth, and 50% of our day we try to, spend on that.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, that's why we all put out great content things, because we want to help people, but we also want to build our brand.
Sure.
Though I will also play devil's advocate, not that I disagree, because that's exactly the mentality we have. But for example, if I can improve our operations by an additional $100,000 a year in efficiency, now we have an extra $100,000 in profit, not revenue. Let's say it stays the same. And using that $100,000, I acquire a better salesperson, better sales team, or whatever that might be. And now that individual brings in an extra 25 clients in a given year and increases our revenue by an extra $5, $10, $15 million. Even though I did not focus on the growth aspect of it, of the marketing side, I still focused on the growth of the operations, which then grew the company as well off the dividends of that.
Agreed.
So I don't want to ever undersell that transactional side either.
Yeah, I mean, okay. There was a caveat in that growth side. It was also optimization, making bigger and making better versus just day to day. So yes, exactly that example
Training
that you
employees,
said.
everything.
That example that you said would be what we call like a point scoring activity that would go over on the growth and optimization side.
Yeah.
Make bigger, make better. Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So,
good stuff.
And for those listening, I think for a lot that are probably listening to this podcast, listen to most, that's the part of as you're in entrepreneurship for years and you start learning those little intimate details, the compound interest, kind of how it builds up. And I think that's what really differentiates an entrepreneur from everyone else, is that long-term picture. How does everything compound over time, and how does everything you do matter to the long run? Like what you're doing today, you might not see dividends for 5 years from now, but 5 years from now, what's going to be the return investment from what you're doing today?
Absolutely. And that's, I mean, one of the biggest rewards I would say about entrepreneurship and living this kind of lifestyle is just, enjoying coming in to the office every day and building something. I think a lot of people that's lost on, or maybe it's just not their focus or whatever. But those who are, I mean, it's a really, really enjoyable way to make a living. That building something is truly your own.
Cool.
Great. Cool. Okay. For the people who are watching and listening now, what are you looking for more of? If somebody's looking to launch an idea or whatever, or if it's a company that's existing, like, what are you looking to do more of client-wise moving forward?
I'm not biased. I mean, we'll take the entrepreneur, the inspiring entrepreneur, and we'll take the Fortune 500. I'd say different budgets, different goals, but to us, everyone's the same. And I don't say that cliche way. I do believe in our core values of the company. It doesn't matter if you're someone with a $10,000 budget or a $50 million budget. We're going to treat you the same. Now, obviously, we have a different capacity, workload, and what we provide service-wise. But when it comes to like who we're looking for, we have no preference. As long as they fit the value we can provide and we know it's something we can do, and it's a winner wheelhouse, it's all one and the same. So it's hard for me to answer. It's like if you have kids, asking probably which one of your kids is your favorite.
Oh, come on, I have that.
Yeah, it's the oldest. It's the oldest. Let's be real.
Not necessarily.
But the reality is, we're not picky. I mean, probably our objective is we're just looking for the word more, because as a company, we want to help more people and more companies and more businesses and more products. So this year, we're very fortunate. It's February 10th that we're in, or February 18th or 17th today, right? Losing track of time. I know we've already doubled all of what we did last year as a company in today's date.
Nice.
All of last year, and we're like, what, not even 2/12 into, like 1/6 into the year. So, we're growing at such a rapid pace, and it's amazing. And part of it's by the years of planning, and we want to keep even growing even further because we're not satisfied as a company. And it's kind of that competitive drive we have in us too, which helps. But, that's kind of our outlook as well. Is we just want to find more people we can help that truly believe that our infrastructure, our ecosystem, our culture is the right fit for them, and we're the right fit for them too, and that we can make that happen.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people in the space, with the entrepreneurs that we work with, the real estate investors that we ever fund or partner with or do deals with, a big thing is user experience, and especially in kind of our business model. Tech kind of has taken over even offline real estate investing, and we see it firsthand. There's larger tech companies, larger companies that come in, and they're really winning by user experience. They're making it, we were looking at optimizing a loan application, for instance, that we have on one of our websites, and it was 15 fields, and we get great response from it. Our CPA is great. We get really good response, and we compared it to this new age tech company who's trying to deploy a ton of money to real estate investors out there, and it was a whole like Apple swipe, like this question, this question, this question. It's a really good user experience that we checked out, and it's one of those things that I think real estate in general is an old school type of business model. It's offline, you physically touch real estate. And I think one thing that a lot of our viewers that are big, sophisticated real estate investors, either on the lending side or the buy-in side, always could use more help on their user experience in order to just help navigate,
I'll say
that
this
world.
as well. To me, some of the sexiest industries right now in the tech scape is taking non-technical concept, going on a mobile app, literally pressing a button, handling the transaction, using your phone, rating, having accountability and geolocation on your side. They took a real world thing and applied technology to solve a problem, make it more efficient that people didn't even realize was a problem. Airbnb is kind of the same thing. It was just people's houses, right. A real tangible thing. So, right. I would actually say some of the best ideas that we deal with personally are real tangible things that people are just using technology to solve a problem to, better than what existed. And to me, to a lot of people, I may not consider that sexy, but to me, that's the sexiest thing because it's a proven market. The idea's already been validated. If you execute with a better price point and more value, you're automatically going to win over the market. You just got to advertise to it. And that's something like it's almost like the playbook for success has already been wrote for you. You just got to execute on that playbook. It's like a football team that knows exactly the defense are going to be read. So, they're going to be going cover for the pass, run the ball. If they're going to cover for the run, pass the ball. You just got to execute at this point, right? Right. And our job is to put the best team on the field and then tell them how to execute and make it execute.
I think that's probably a great takeaway from this talk too, and there are a number of them, but one of them for sure is that the right kind of tech, the right kind of online or mobile user experience for anyone's customer is what people need to be really dialed into and upgrading because things are changing so fast. You don't want to get left behind when the next Uber comes into your industry and wipes you out, right?
Totally. And I think wearable is one of the sexiest things right now because nobody's thinking wearable. Wearable is only growing strong. And I actually wrote a blog post about this in September. The first second one big success story happens on wearable, everyone's going to flock there, be like, why were we not there earlier? So, I think there's especially if I'm looking at real estate, just the opportunities on wearable, this is maybe a terrible idea in hindsight, but just because I'm not fully in the real estate market, how amazing it would be just by geolocation, knowing the price value of every house you are by just looking at your watch real quick next to a home, apartment, condo. It's like that quick glance digestion of information. And
wearable,
that nature.
Wearable and VR for sure is going to be big in real estate.
VR is huge. We had Andrew Brand on our podcast. We were talking about how in the future, one day you can pay for access to be from the first person point of view of, let's say, Cam Newton in the Super Bowl or that first row seat in the Super Bowl, right? Or at a football game, that virtual experience. And now there's a movie coming out made just for virtual reality, 360 scope, right? So VR is going to change the name of the game, but I do think it's going to take a lot longer than people are going to estimate. I think, a lot of people are estimating within the next 5 years. I think it's going to be a 10, 15-year game before you start seeing the dividends of VR. But I think in our lifetimes, it's going to be something that's going to be absolutely extraordinary.
We got a little. This is the technology we're working with right now. It's plastic, and you slap your phone into it. So it's got a little ways to go.
Virtual reality tours, what your home would be like, what it could be like if you're updating your home, you're adding on to it.
I think in real estate, it's big.
Yeah, it will be big for sure.
I think augmented reality could be another amazing aspect for you guys as well. Like you're in a construction site, you have augmented reality to automatically add in what it's going to be, or you're an architect or engineer. So many opportunities.
For sure. Well, good stuff. Good stuff. I think that's about all I had. You have anything additional for Josh? Josh, where can people reach out to you if they want to follow you on social media, interact with you, or reach out to your company for a project? Where should they go?
So Our company's real easy. If you go to chop.dog, chop.dog, you will go to our website, or you can go to chopdawg.com, but dog then is DAWG. So either URL works. For me personally, on almost every social network, I am under the name Das Joshua, DASJOSHUA, except Snapchat, which is Joshua Davidson, the full name, because some a-holes took my name before I ever got to sign up, and then tried to hold a ransom for me. So I just said screw it. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Joshua@chopdog.com is my email.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thanks a lot for being on. Definitely enjoyed the material, and we'll let you know next time we're in Philly.
You got it, guys. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Awesome.